8675309. 8675309.
What's that? Like your sixth cup of refreshment there?
No, I'm just in a good mood today. I don't know why. Especially after
you heard us. We heard you serenading us from the shower earlier.
Are we already on? Are we already rolling?
Yes. So everybody just heard that.
Oh my god, dude! I don't know. I've had like all these '80s songs stuck in my head today, which I'm just gonna. We should just roll right into the news. Actually, we'll do that after the little intro.
Okay.
It's time to hit the trail, lock in those hubs, and throw it into low range. Because you are listening to Wheelin with Keith and Johnny Orange, broadcasting from the Thin Line Off-Road Studio. They're here to talk about 4x4s, trucks, and everything to do with enjoying the great outdoors. Buckle up. Here's your hosts, Keith and Johnny Orange.
So we were just going to pause and just pick up. But
Oh, whatever. So, no, okay. Let's just do that. So that was the shortest going into the intro banter, unless you want to change it up.
No, I'm for it. I like it.
You're for it. Okay.
I like it.
80s thing. So I'm sitting here.
I'm an 80s thing.
Yeah, you kind of are.
Yeah.
But I am taking and I'm sitting here and I'm trying to Google something else. And something comes up that I saw yesterday that I was really, really confused about.
I don't want to know what was in your Wish search history, bro.
Well, I already showed you some of that. But
Yeah, the one shirt was pretty good, though.
So
Anyway.
I'm driving up Groesbeck Highway out in Clinton. I think it's Clinton Township, Michigan, where it's at. And I'm driving up and I see this sign that immediately takes me back to my childhood
Okay.
and put me into a lot of confusion. And I was actually thinking about it for a couple hours yesterday, just on and off.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of slipped out of my mind, but then it went back here. Major Magics.
Heard of it. Never been.
Major Magics, when I was a kid, I'm a child of the 80s. Major Magics in the Metro Detroit area, they had a whole bunch of them, was kind of like Chuck E. Cheese.
I've been there like twice in my life.
But these places were slightly more terrifying.
Really?
Yeah, okay. So they had this whole Major Magics musical review thing, and they had these animatronic characters, rats, and a piano with a face.
That's cool.
And all this stuff, and it sang and it danced up on the
Nice.
stage. And you'd eat this, and I remember
That's actually
back.
kind of terrifying, yeah.
I remember the pizza, so I'm going to be really disappointed. So, anyways, the pizza was like really, really greasy, and there was also this. I think it was maybe a hippopotamus or something. I can't remember now. That played a sax or tuba.
Okay.
Okay, and it was like this animatronic character, and it played this tuba. And we would sit there as kids in the 80s and we would grab the slices of pizza and we'd whip them and we'd try to get them into the tuba. And so as an adult,
You would be asked to leave.
yeah, no, if you did it as an adult, but I have to wonder like how often they had to clean out that tuba because people were always throwing food into the tuba. That
That's
was like part of the
awesome.
thing. But any case, so I'm driving up Groesbeck and I see this Major Magic sign in front of this business. In this building. And I'm looking at it. I kind of do a double take. Major Magic's closed like 10 years ago. The very last one. And the last one hung on for a long time. But
So one of those like the last Blockbuster kind of deal.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I see this and I'm like, well, maybe they're renovating the building or something. Because I didn't see much in the building, but I just saw the sign out there. And I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe it was one of those cases where they had like a vinyl sign on it or something, and they peeled it off in the old vintage one. You've seen that before.
Oh, yeah.
Like an old billboard or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sitting here and I'm Googling something different, and the Major Magics thing comes up on my phone, and apparently Major Magics has returned.
Nice.
And here I'm gonna re-Google it again. And the people that are listening to this podcast are like, what are these guys talking about? But it just
all I've gathered is that whoever the guy that designed this was probably on acid when he got the idea for animatronic creatures playing instruments serving pizza.
well, they don't serve the pizza. The people serve the pizza, the greasy pizza.
Yeah.
But then, yeah.
I don't mean the animals serve it.
So listen to this. I'm just going to read you the article, and this is from eater.com from detroit.eater.com.
Okay.
Pizza and animatronics chain Major Magics is returning to Metro Detroit. The chain is getting reborn with old school pinball machines and arcade games. Pizza and entertainment chain restaurant Major Magics is set to return to Metro Detroit over a decade after it departed.
Cool.
Per Macomb Daily, the family-friendly eatery is set to open on Groesbeck Highway in Clinton Township this winter, taking over the former Riviera Coney Island space. That means Major Magics is effectively returning from the dead. The chain's final location in suburban Toledo closed in 2010. Owner Dennis McDonald has partnered with Chesterfield Township's Sparks Pinball Museum for the rebirth of Major Magics. That museum is furnishing vintage pinball and arcade games, some of which came from pre-existing Major Magics locations.
Cool.
The museum also rescued some of the animatronic cartoon characters from the last existing Major Magics, and those will also feature at the Clinton Township restaurant. That said, McDonald is suggesting the restaurant will be updated to fit more modern tastes, telling Macomb Daily that this is not the old Major Magics All-Star Pizza review. Exact details on what will be updated are yet to be announced. Major Magics is in the same family restaurant category as Chuck E. Cheese, with similarities that range from robotic cartoon characters that put on a show to menu items like pizza and subs. Expected to arrive in late January or early February.
Nice.
And it says, according to Google, they're open right now, so I may have to take the kids. But here's what...
I'm thinking Wheelin field trip. Forget the kids.
Well, there's
Wait,
that.
do they serve adult refreshments?
I think Major Magics did the original. I don't know about this one.
Oh, well, I'll say if not, then I'm out.
Well, we can find out. We can call them. But here's what I just was kind of, they took museum displays, restored them, put them back
that
into
is awesome.
this. So, people don't always, museum has had that connotation for many years of being musty, dusty places of forgotten things. A museum, people think, oh, it's a museum piece, or, this place is a museum, you can't touch anything or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of taken on a negative connotation.
It has, but auto museums, even like ours, the Mora, they have changed in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
The idea has been now, instead of having these static displays, in fact, if you've read, I'm sure you have at some point or another, we've got right when you enter the Mora, we've got that sign, why do we restore, or why do we display unrestored vehicles?
Yeah.
And it explains why some of the vehicles are restored, some of them are not. And part of it is that museum focus in the last 10 years or so has been to get away from static displays to actually allowing the vehicles to run, drive, and go out to special events and things like that. So, they might be a little greasy, or they might drip a little bit of oil or whatever, but they still run and drive.
Yeah.
So museums, it's just really positive to me and really heartening for me to see that, there's other museums that are starting to say, okay, these things that we have, let's put them in something beyond just putting behind glass to look at, but they can actually be enjoyed.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it opens up that world that was to a whole new audience.
It does.
And, that's going to bring on, if it does well, as it probably will, because that's kind of everything, the whole quote-unquote retro thing everybody's doing right now, it'll explode and it'll bring back more.
I highly encourage...
And that's awesome.
No, it really is. And I encourage museums all over the place to do this, to start to say... Now, obviously, you're not going to take, a coat that was worn by George Washington and allow people to wear it. Okay.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to do
advisable. That. Maybe a remake. But.
A remake, but to allow things to be able to be seen, in some cases touched, or at least see things brought back to life, or to get away from that glass panel.
Yeah.
I don't remember what episode it was, but we did, you might remember, when we brought my mom on the Christmas walk, where she talked about the history of sleighs and sleds. The Christmas walk event that she does,
excuse me.
My father, who's now passed away, as you know, but my father had this idea of turning his Christmas walk into a museum that would essentially be behind glass.
Yeah.
Now, my mom, she liked that idea, but she's always liked the idea of what she does, which is where this is in her home, and people are walking by these Christmas trees and these Christmas ornaments, and they're right there. They could touch them. They shouldn't touch them.
Yeah.
But they're right there.
You can get right up and see it.
It's like you're experiencing that Christmas.
Yeah. And that's when we took a family trip to Scotland in 2006. And it was the Aberdeen Museum, or Museum of Aberdeen, Scotland. And they happened to have this awesome exhibit. They were featuring a bunch of original Leonardo da Vinci drawings on loan from the royal family. You get that close to them.
You're talking like the one that he drew of Kate Winslet laying in that car or that bench.
Different Leonardo, different artist.
Oh, that's
we didn't say that one.
Oh, that's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. This is Da Vinci.
Okay.
His Italian brother.
Oh, okay, all right.
And yeah, though that was, I mean, they're bolted to the wall behind glass. Don't get me wrong, but they're the original works of art, and it's done that way so you can get up close and see it. Obviously, you're not touching that,
but no, that
was incredible, though. Amazing opportunity to see that stuff.
I've seen at the Smithsonian and some of the national museums out in Washington, D.C., the same thing, where they now... I remember the first time that I went and I saw... I wish I remember which building it is now. It's the Hall of Documents where we have the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, things like that.
Yeah.
The first time I saw that, they were all...
That wasn't in Nick Cage's living room?
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
It wasn't.
Good movie.
Yes, it is. They were all behind glass, but there was a velvet rope maybe 6 feet back. Mm-hmm. And so you're standing there and you're kind of looking over and you can see it. The last time I was there, you could walk right up to the glass.
That's cool.
You could touch the glass, not that you should be touching it, but it was right there. You could get your face within 6 inches of the document. Cool. You could see it. That, just bringing some of those barriers away at museums.
Oh, yeah.
The Henry Ford Museum. Have you been there recently?
Last time I was there was like 3rd grade, so a long time ago.
I'm going to say, so 3rd grade, so for you, that's like, what, 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
Oh, graduated high school in 2006.
Oh, okay.
So there's some scale for you.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, same thing. The Henry Ford Museum, most of their cars and displays used to always be behind rails or behind ropes. There was a few that you could walk right up to.
Yeah.
But they started rotating the collection a little bit. And for a while, and they may still do it, I'm not sure, but they even did this engines exposed thing where they popped the hood of all the vehicles in the museum for 1 month. So
that's cool.
For that month, you could go through and you could see the engines in the vehicles. Normally they have the hoods closed. And they also took like their Tucker. They have the world's most original unrestored Tucker. Unfortunately, it is not running and driving right now.
Yeah.
It's been in their museum as a static display for many years. But it used to be behind a rail. It was kind of sit low. It was darkly lit. You didn't really see the car very well. They've brought it out now and they've put it right there on the main floor, and you can essentially, get right up to touching distance of the car.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice to see these things.
It's that interactive display. Like I said, you can look at something all day. If you can actually get up close to study it, to look at it in great detail, that's what hooks people in interest on things like that. And in the case of this, being able to play old pinball machines, that's awesome. A friend of mine, so I work for one of the family companies, the fireworks store. He does pinball machines. A lot of them are from the 70s, the 80s, and
very cool,
plus or minus. And before it was a fireworks store, it was an arcade. And it closed to the public at one point in time. And when it was closed, we, again, my buddy's dad owned it, so we always used to go in there and play. Everybody get out of work or something, we'd go in and just hang out at night and play old pinball machines all night. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
I miss that. A lot of it was testing him out for his dad.
Sure.
But no, it was great, and it was free.
Well,
that was the best part.
Have you ever been out to Marvelous Marvin's Mechanical Museum?
Not yet.
I know
we've talked about it a few times. Yeah,
that's another really cool one. The guy, he unfortunately passed away about, I think it was 4 years ago now, and he had been collecting pinball machines and all sorts of memorabilia, from arcades going back over 100 years, and you can go out there. And for 25 cents or 50 cents, you can play pretty much anything that's in there.
That's cool.
There's very little that's display only. Almost everything there is hands-on.
Awesome.
You get to play it. He's even got things from like 1890.
Wow.
That you can go up and put a nickel in. And
that's awesome.
It's super, super cool. We should go out there sometime.
I'm for it.
It's not that far away. In fact, maybe we can make it like a dual trip sometime. I know we talked about my brother Jeff, who does all those True Value events out in Williamston. Maybe we talked about maybe doing a Wheelin live show out there sometime. Maybe we could go out and do something there and hit Marvelous Marvin's on the way back or something.
That'd be awesome.
It's right on the way. So
that'd be awesome. Yeah,
that would be really cool.
I'm down for sure.
speaking of, Marvelous Marvin, like I said, I don't remember what his full name. The guy's name was obviously Marvin, but he passed away, and he left this legacy of his museum, which is hands-on and all that. We did lose somebody else this last couple days, and I think maybe
it's not been a good week for that.
No. Why don't we take a quick break and let's talk about who we lost this last week?
Sounds good to me. Because I got to fix this mic. It keeps dropping on me.
All right, let's do that.
See you in a bit.
Puppies are cute. Spiders are not. Spiders are creepy and ugly. But what will you do? You will call ABC Home and Commercial Services. The Spider Fighters can service your home for these unwelcome guests. ABC Spider Fighters will provide the solution for your spiders, wasps, box elder bugs, Asian lady beetles, cluster flies, and all your visiting insects. Call now for a prepaid discount. ABC Home and Commercial. The Spider Fighters. 810-794-5678.
Did I tell you about the spam call I got the other day?
No.
I was on my way back from Port Huron with my dad. You ever see any of those Jigsaw movies?
Yeah,
Or Saw movies?
Are we recording again?
Yeah, we are.
Okay,
I'm just going with
fine. All right, just go with it. Yes.
So I get a call, and it's that voice. And it's like, we have your wife. If you don't do exactly as we tell you, we're going to kill her.
Okay.
It was a restricted number, so I couldn't call him back. It was a computer recording. It's like, all right, I'm not married. I don't have a girlfriend.
That you know of.
No, I'm pretty sure I don't have a girlfriend.
Okay.
Click. I just hung up.
Weird.
I'm kind of disappointed I didn't play with him a little more and have some more fun with it, but at some point in the future, maybe.
I don't even know where to go with that. I mean, especially since, just before break, which we took for the first time in a little bit of time, an honest to goodness break.
Yeah.
We've been off the air for probably like 20 minutes. Of course, if you're listening to this, you
A
don't
little
know.
more than that.
You don't know this. We were just touring the new Wheelin studio, which is well under construction. It's carpeted. It is half the walls are up. Yeah, it's getting there. So
Yep.
the new Wheelin studio on YouTube, for our YouTube listeners, you'll be seeing something much better than a couple of old T-shirts behind. God knows what that is behind us.
Free. What do you? I don't know what you call
I think
it.
it's like a Venetian blind. No, not a Venetian blind. Drop down curtain or whatever. Blind.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever it is. I am not.
Yeah, sure.
I am not a homemaker. I'm not Martha Stewart.
No, it was evident by the kitchen knives holding it up to your doors.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, that was my idea.
Yeah, you're right. So,
Anywho.
on a more somber note, we did have a death in the automotive world this week, and this wouldn't seem like something that someone that you're. I don't know how to say this. This wouldn't seem like someone you would normally attribute to the automotive world.
Oh,
but very much so he was.
oh yeah.
And we are talking about the one, the only author, Mr. Clive Cussler.
Yeah. Also known as dirkpitt to some.
Well, I mean, his character was dirkpitt.
Yeah.
But in reality, he lived very much the life of his fictional character, dirkpitt.
Oh yeah. Well, a number of his books are based in truth. They're,
He wrote
nonfiction.
Yeah, he wrote nonfiction. He wrote fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote a few children's books.
Something like 104 total published books or something.
Is that right?
Something like that.
I need to catch up.
I'm way behind too.
I think I am somewhere up around 47 or 50 books. I started reading Cussler intermittently, probably maybe 15 or 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Maybe even longer than that, because I think the first book I ever read by him was Raise the Titanic, which was published in either the late 70s or the early 80s.
Something like that.
There was a movie. I had seen the movie.
They made that into a movie too?
Yeah, there's a movie.
I didn't know that.
That was the first one they made into a movie. I had seen the movie. The movie's okay. It's not great. And in fact, Mr. Cussler had gotten into some lawsuits and stuff over the movie because of...
Really?
Yeah, same thing with Sahara, but he was supposed to have artistic license with it, and some things didn't happen. I can't speak 100% intelligently on that.
Real quick, sorry. It's
ahead.
more than 80 books. He's the sole author and lead author on more than 80 books, it says.
More than 80 books, yeah. And so I had picked up Raise the Titanic, read that, I had read a couple other books that were kind of out of order from the quote-unquote series. His books can all be read standalone.
Yeah.
But I found that if you start reading a particular series of his books from the beginning, he does make references to things that happened in previous books. So you enjoy it a little more.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I had started doing that probably about 10 years ago, 15 years ago maybe. And I am a voracious reader, but I don't sit down and just read the same author all the time. So I probably read a couple Cussler books a year, and I think I'm up to 40, like I said, 47, maybe 50 of his books right now.
I've got about that many. I've read like 2.5.
2.5? Man, I thought you'd read a lot more of his books than that.
I need to start reading again. I got a tendency to just go to technical manuals on things.
Okay.
I mean, I know a lot of relatively useless stuff. Not that reading, fiction books are any better.
Okay.
But I just have a tendency to study manuals on, certain topics at the time, things that are going on.
I can understand that.
And I just need to start reading again, period. I don't even need a lot of that.
It is good for the mind. It's good for the brain.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Cussler, he, in real life, he started writing his series of books. The very first one, I believe, was Pacific Vortex. I could be mistaken on
Something
that.
like
Or
that.
maybe the Mediterranean Caper. I know that was one of the two of those.
Yeah.
But he started writing these books, and they were the dirkpitt adventure series. And this person, dirkpitt, this fictional character, was this guy that traveled the world, and most of the books, well, all the books with dirkpitt, there was some sort of underwater adventure.
Yeah.
Scuba diving, submarines.
That's upon your recommendations what kind of got me hooked and tied into it
all underwater stuff.
Yeah.
But on top of that, the fictional character dirkpitt, just like the real life Clive Cussler, was a huge car nut.
Oh, yeah.
And so he features interesting vehicles in every single book.
Yeah.
The real life, Clive Cussler owned a Jeep Cherokee. He ends up putting the Jeep Cherokee, the 97 Jeep Cherokee, which I owned one as well.
Nice.
He puts the Jeep Cherokee into the series of books. And in the books,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, in the series of books, he writes in that they had replaced the Cherokee engine with a dragster engine, essentially.
Nice.
And so he's got this high-speed Jeep Cherokee that he can weave in and out
Maybe
of.
that's a Wheelin project for one day. We'll recreate Clive Cussler's.
Numa Cherokee?
Yeah.
And Numa, so I'm saying I hadn't said that yet. Numa, the National Underwater Marine
If you
Agency.
didn't, I was going to bring it up.
Oh, well, tell us, what's Numa, John?
That's all I was going to get at. It's just, what isn't it, like dedicated to the archaeology underwater or something like that?
Well, exploration. Now, in the book, it's this huge government agency.
Yeah.
But in real life, there is a real life Numa.
Yeah, that he started.
And Numa goes around looking for old shipwrecks and historical things, and they're the ones that found the Confederate submarine Hunley
Oh, wow.
and brought up the Hunley.
Didn't he have a book called Raising the Hunley?
He had a book about it called there was the Sea Hunters and then the Sea Hunters 2.
I'm thinking something else.
They
Never
might have
mind.
had the Hunley story in one of those, but they brought it. The Hunley was the first submarine to successfully sink another vessel in wartime. And so this is during the Civil War. It was a Confederate submarine. It was powered by men sitting on a bench with a hand crank, stick of dynamite sticking out, or bundle of dynamite out of the front of it. They blew a hole in the ship, sank the ship. They're backing up quickly. Something happened. They're still researching it today.
Yeah.
Thing went down. And a few years ago, they found the Hunley, raised it, and it's since being...
That's one that was in a river, wasn't it? Or am I thinking the Monitor?
No, it was in, I think, Charleston Harbor, if I remember right.
I remember which one. I know there was one in a river, and then one that was something... Whatever it was, there's a friend of mine was on the crew, or on one of the dive teams. It was like a 420-something foot diving they were doing.
No, the Hunley was only found in like 30 feet of water.
Yeah, all right. I'm thinking of the Monitor then probably. No, I'm pretty sure it is a Monitor. Anyways.
So yeah, no, they found this. They raised the whole vessel. It's being restored in a Navy research lab right now. So he led this life, and he went around also with vehicles. In real life, he collected things like Duesenbergs and vintage French vehicles, and
I've seen a lot of those pictures on the backs of his books.
Exactly.
Some phenomenal Absolutely beautiful vehicles for sure.
For sure. He would get these vehicles, and what's funny, he would modify them. The only way he would modify them is he'd repaint them, and what they called Cussler colors. He was really into the bright colors, so he would get these eye-popping pastels and things like that, and he'd repaint these vehicles. But he was very, very much a gearhead. And originally he was in, I remember reading in one of his books, and it might have been like the cars of Clive Cussler and dirkpitt or something. But he had said,
So he's got the one or two books about cars.
about the cars,
Yeah.
yes. And he had said in the one that he was originally collecting these brass era cars, and then he went to have, I think it was the generator rebuilt on a Packard or a Duesenberg or something, and it cost him so many thousands of dollars, and he realized that maybe collecting some of these 50s cars and stuff would be, maybe a little cheaper, but, so even though he was a multimillionaire, of course, but, he had this
Still,
huge...
it doesn't make sense if, the price points up it like that.
And he wanted to be able to drive the cars and enjoy the cars. Kind of like we were talking earlier, his collection was not a static collection, but it was a collection of vehicles that could be owned and driven and enjoyed.
That's the way I am with anything. I love the idea of, like a trailer queen and just something, spit polish. You want to keep looking good for shows and stuff. But at the same time, I want something functional. I want something that I can just drive down the road and not have to worry about ruining, a $30,000 paint job or something like that. Not to say I'm necessarily going to take a nice old vehicle like that on the highway or a long trip.
True.
I want to be able to drive around town or something. I mean, that's what they're made for.
Exactly.
To use.
Exactly.
So,
and that's what he'd write into his books.
Yeah.
And, his books, along with the original Raise the Titanic movie, are some of the things that made me fascinated with the underwater world when I was a young man. I was reading Cussler books in the 80s, like I said, intermittently as a young boy. And, now I've gone back and read a lot of these books and really kind of wrapped my head around what I was reading at the time. But to me, it was like, that's where my love of diving, which unfortunately I'm out of now, as you know, but maybe come back to it someday.
In time.
But my love of diving came from that. And then it was like the cars were in there, and I was already into cars. So it was this natural marriage of, antique cars and the diving world and the adventure and the treasure hunting and the going, because most of his books, that's what they are. They're finding some ancient treasure or solving this ancient mystery, and he puts a lot of history in there, and I love history. So a lot of his books were, this was something where it was, he would cover the history. Now maybe he would make stretches of it. But I still learned things because I would be reading his books. I remember one of them, I want to say it was Atlantis Found. I'm almost sure that's the book, Atlantis Found. He mentions the Admiral Byrd's snow cruiser. And I know you and I have talked briefly about the snow cruiser before. And I'm sitting there and I'm reading this book and I go, I wonder if this is a real thing. So I end up researching it, looking, and sure enough, and I learned all about it, and I end up getting caught in, a Google rabbit hole for hours and hours reading all about this. So I took something from a fictional book, found out about it in real life, what it is, became fascinated with that, and now I'm hoping a future project of the Museum of Off-Road Adventure can be to maybe possibly locate the real life snow cruiser, which is potentially frozen in ice in Antarctica.
So if I win the lottery, that's on the top of the list. It's in like the top 10, 12 things.
So there's just all these things. And, so he's going to be missed, man.
Absolutely.
I loved his books. I want to show you something. I'm not giving this to you, but I just want to show you something here. Check this out and open the first couple of pages and then just read what you take a look there. You don't have to read the book, but what Johnny Orange is looking at.
A novel of the Oregon Files.
Well, it's Dark Watch, yep. It's actually not one of his better books, but Clive Cussler did a number of different series of books. He had the Oregon Files, and look at that.
Oh, wow. So what it says, this special hardcover edition of Dark Watch is limited to 100 copies, signed by Clive Cussler and Jack DeBrule. That is cool.
So Clive Cussler himself handled that book.
Yeah.
That is one of the...
I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but...
that is one of the rarest Clive Cussler books in the world.
That is awesome.
That book was only published in softcover. and they only published 100 hardcovers as a special edition.
That is awesome.
I was able to acquire that a number of years ago.
That is cool.
I do have a number of Clive Cussler signed books, although I never did get to meet him in person. I had purchased from other collectors.
Gotcha.
Clive Cussler signed books, but
I don't think any of mine are signed.
I don't know why.
Not by him, anyways. By previous owners.
Well, there you go. 90% of my Clive Cussler collection, as you know, I'm a book guy too.
Oh, yeah.
My Clive Cussler collection is first edition, first printings.
Yeah.
Hardcovers. And there's a few I still need to patch in that are not that. But this was one that I happened to stumble upon years ago, and
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was kind of cool knowing that the man himself held this book.
Yeah,
and
that is
he
awesome.
signed it. It was a really neat thing. Speaking of the series, we talked about the Dirk Pitt series, which is still going on. His son has started co-writing the Dirk Pitt series a little bit with him, so I'm kind of wondering does Dirk Pitt as a character has aged throughout the years as well? He's gone from being this young, dashing single man to now being this married guy with kids. And I'm kind of wondering if he'll eventually, I don't want to say kill off, but, retire Dirk Pitt.
Send him off into the sunset.
Clive Cussler.
Retire to a farm.
Could be. I don't know. Co-wrote other series of books. He did The Oregon Files, which is about this crew of mercenaries that travel on a derelict freighter that's actually not a derelict freighter.
Dude. Oh!
It's
I remember reading about them, I think, in Flood Tide.
yeah, it's a
I didn't know there was a series of that.
there's a whole series, The Oregon Files. It's a secret ship that they go around and they do all this, and they're good guys, but they work out of that. There's also
remember the ship. I remember him describing the way he was climbing up the side of the ship, and it just from a distance, like you said, it looks like a derelict freighter.
Yeah,
all rusted out, beat to hell, and just shot full of holes. And he's realizing as he climbs, the more he looks at the side, he's realizing it's not. It's all paint.
Yeah,
it's all fake. It's all a facade.
Is that in Flood Tide? That might have been where they introduced it, because Flood Tide's a pretty early book.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Flood Tide. That was one of the first ones I read. I'm pretty sure I got it from you, actually.
Okay.
And then
I know I've given you a few of them as I've.
Yeah, there was that. I think Trainwreck was one I read, and the one I'm on. Can't remember the name of the one I'm on right now.
So, the Oregon Files. There's cars and there's more guns in that. He was a little bit of a gun enthusiast, but there's more guns in the Oregon Files. Some diving.
Yeah.
There's some crossover between the books and the characters, but not a ton. There's the Oregon Files. There's also. He has the Fargo series, which is Sam and Remy Fargo, which is a married couple.
I haven't gotten to any of those ones yet.
They're a treasure hunting couple that goes around the world. That's another series that they do. He also does the Isaac Bell series, which is right now
one of what I've gone through.
That's one of my favorite series. The Isaac Bell series starts out around the turn of the century, the last turn of the century, not the 2000, but the 1900, and he has this Isaac Bell character, and he is a private detective that works for. He's also like a millionaire. He inherited a bunch of money, and he's this private detective, and he travels around, solving these crimes and things like that for this somewhat fictional Van Dorn agency that they have in there. That's really based off the real life Pinkertons, which is
been so
interesting.
Long since I read that book.
Yeah, like I said, lots of history here.
Oh yeah,
but. So they go around, and in that book, he has a lot of the brass era and early cars.
Yeah.
And he talks about some of those early race cars, they get up to like the 1908, 1912, stuff like that. And that series has really become, close to me. I really enjoy reading that series.
Yeah.
So he's just a fantastic storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
And
I just wonder where he gets all the ideas, and I can have so many. I mean, he's incredibly talented. For sure.
Absolutely. It's a real loss. He was only, I think,
88.
Was he that old?
Pretty sure that's what it said, yeah.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, man. I thought I had read like 82 or something, but it might have been 88, but still, I know that's a good long life, and I know he had lost his wife 15 or 20 years ago, and then he remarried again, but...
Yeah, 88.
88, yeah. But, just such a huge loss. He's been a best-selling author for... over 30 years.
Yeah.
A number of his books have made the New York, best-selling book and top 10, things like that. Mm-hmm. He has been he's not only just been this author that writes, but he has taken his real life adventures, moved him into his books, and vice versa. He's gone after that. He's funded, expeditions for other maritime, shipwrecks and things like that. The guy just full of life,
Keeps
man.
going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
It's
Like you said, it'll be real interesting to see what happens with the characters in the series now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Did I, not that it really matters, but did you see anywhere what he passed of?
I didn't. I'll pull it up. Real quick.
88. You could be old age,
A lot of complications here. Let me see.
But, I just,
Oh.
I do know, or at least I hope, that his son, Dirk Cussler, he actually did name his son Dirk Cussler.
That's awesome.
And who's a writer
I didn't
with
know
him.
that.
And Dirk Cussler, I'm hoping, is going to continue to write books, kind of under the same series. I know that some of the other authors that he's co-written with for the Oregon Files, for the Fargo series.
Quick, his breakthrough novel, they call it, was 1976, Raised at the Titanic. Doesn't say if that's the first one.
No, that is not his first one.
But that was like the breakthrough one for him.
Yeah, that became an international phenomenon. It was a huge blockbuster movie at the time. They turned it into a movie. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good movie for the time. It's very, very dated now.
Yeah,
but it was a pretty good movie for the time. And then they did turn one other book that he did into a movie, and that's Sahara.
I liked that one.
Now, yeah, Sahara, I think, is a fantastic movie. Apparently, in real life, Cussler hated it.
I've heard that. I've heard that a lot, actually.
Apparently, Matthew McConaughey had begged him for the part, wanted him to be in the movie, or he wanted to be in the movie. Mm-hmm. Went to his house, said, "I want to do this," blah, blah, blah. They went and did it. The problem I have as a Cussler book fan, I like the movie, but the book is so much better.
That's almost always the case, in all fairness.
Here's the thing, though. The Sahara book, which I'd highly recommend anyone who enjoys the movie to read the book.
I have a copy of it. I know that.
The Sahara book has 3 separate, sub-stories going on in the novel, or in the book itself.
Yeah.
3 important stories. In the movie, they really make it about only one of the stories.
Oh.
And so there's 2 other parts of that book that really tie in to make a really interesting story.
Yeah.
That they just kind of omit from the movie.
I remember, so this, unfortunately, this dates me a lot, but I remember that when the Harry Potter movies first came out, because I had read all the books at the time, and it was the same kind of thing. I don't remember which book, but there was, when they made a movie of it, it was the first really big one. When they made the movie, there was
Goblet of Fire.
Sure.
That's the 4th book. That's a real big one.
Yeah, there's just so many details of it that were not in the movie.
Correct.
That were so important to the story. It's one of 6 things that were supposed to happen, and they it's all in the book. I get it. You got to cut it down for time for a movie, but
there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people that complained about that because they split the 7th book of the Harry Potter series into 2 movies. Yeah. Where the one they should have split was the 4th movie.
Yeah.
Because of the size of the book. Goblet of Fire was so big. It was 1,300 pages or whatever it was. But, back to Cussler for a second. I would like to say officially from, Keith Codet here of Wheelin, as, I'm not going to say a top fan, but I've read voraciously almost 50 of the books, and I'm going to continue to read them.
And he brought others into the addiction of collecting.
Exactly.
Got a few bins full in the basement.
You're going to be very, very missed.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciate what you did for the world of, automotive collecting, scuba diving, underwater adventure, real life research of historical shipwrecks.
Yeah.
This guy was just, he was bigger than than anyone could be.
Yeah.
You know, just he was, I don't know what the word for it is. He
And
just,
I'll say in a quick note, because I know we got to cut the break here, but I know producer Andrews mentioned he's a huge fan of the movie Sahara. I assume you reciprocate the same sense of condolences.
hopefully we can loan him a book and he can read the book.
Yeah.
That would be, and then he can see some of those storylines that I'm talking about.
I believe it, yeah.
So let's take a quick break.
Yep,
and
sounds
then
good. We'll see you in a
talk
bit.
about
I got a
things.
couple things, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good, buddy. Hey, it sounds like it's time to swap out that old engine for something better, John.
Yeah, man, but I have so much into my trans and transfer case setup already. I don't want to change those too.
Sounds like you need to call Quick Draw Brand Adapters. They specialize in conversion bell housings for nearly all diesel and gasoline engines, including the new 2.8R Cummins.
You know, I like weird engines. I want something different.
Then you definitely need to visit quickdrawbrand.com today. They have those hard-to-find parts. They also have used diesel engines available. You can call them at 513-446-9654.
Cool, I'll do that. See what they have. Thanks. Welcome back to Wheelin with Keith and Johnny Orange. We were just discussing the unfortunate passing of Mr. Clive Cussler.
Yeah, I'm just not smiling because of that. It was
Something happened off air.
yeah.
I just had a quick note of passing. This really doesn't have much to do with automotive, but I think anybody who grew up playing with plastic toys or stepping on them has probably cursed this guy's name in some form or another. So the man, I'm going to try and say this right, Jens Nygaard Knudsen, inventor of the Lego figurines, has passed away in the last couple days.
Now you said that earlier to me.
Yeah, he just made the guys. Just
Okay,
the little
so
people.
he made the Lego people.
Yeah.
To add to the Legos.
Yep.
That's really sad, though. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you think about how big of an impact Legos have had on, your kids, me as kids. I don't know about me as kid. My brother and my sister and all that playing with them. I'm sure you played with them growing up at some point in time.
tons.
I mean, probably carved them out of rocks and, invented them.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
So and then I got a little piece of 4x4 news here.
Sure.
Well, I'm sure there's 4x4s on it. So there's a capsized cargo ship full of brand new cars off of the coast of Georgia. They have finally started dismantling it to bring them all up. Mm-hmm. So it's 656 foot long. There are 4,200 brand new cars sitting at the bottom of the ocean right now.
It is not just brand new cars. They're using, I forgot what the technology is called. It's similar to LiDAR. Okay.
Yep.
They're using that to image the inside of the vessel. Mm-hmm. I did actually see that myself.
Yeah.
In a couple of the photos, there are some vintage vehicles as well.
Oh, really? I was unaware of that.
One of the ones that was on a couple of the pages I'm on, there is what appears to be or was a super clean square body Chevy 4x4, which is now underwater. Ugh.
Maybe we could offer a restoration project.
I don't know.
For display purposes only, of course.
Speaking of square body Chevys, we keep getting requests on those, on the 73 to 87 square body Chevys. Don't know what episode number we're going to do it, but I think if our listeners out there, we're going to do the episode anyways.
Eventually, yeah.
If you are just super about this, I don't know why. I mean, we've had like 4 requests for the square body Chevys now. If you think we just need to do this, you got to force us. Go out there on 4x4 Talk. Tell us. Oh, hey, come on around here, Preston. Yeah, come on around. Be on camera or whatever. So this is Preston.
Say hi to everybody.
Hello.
Okay. So Preston has the patent.
Oh, wow.
From the Lego Man. And
that is cool.
It is the inventors are Gottfried K. Christensen and Jens K. Knudsen.
Yep.
That's the person who just passed away.
Yep. Wow.
So that's the original patent, which was done December 18th, 1979 for the Lego Man toy figure. And that is only 2 months after I was born.
Nice.
So
you definitely played with him growing up.
So apparently I am older than the Lego Man.
Nice.
Hey, well, we got Mr. Preston over here, at least on the YouTube, for anybody who's looking. He is now driving. Congratulations,
Hey.
Project Z71.
You want to have him sit here and say something?
If he wants to, you know. So here, come on over here. Let's talk to him.
Put these on if you want to hear.
Yeah, this is different.
All right.
All right. So okay. So how are you doing with the driving?
Pretty good.
Okay. And this is Preston Codette. He has Project Z71, and little dented and beat up and things like that. So what are your plans for Project Z71?
Well, probably first to replace the fender and potentially the bed, so that way it looks a lot more presentable.
Doesn't look like a crushed beer can anymore.
Yeah.
How's it running? You've driven it more than I ever have.
It's running great. I haven't had any problems with it.
Okay, and you've got the 5.3 V8. You've got the locking rear differential. How's it been in the snow and the ice for the last couple of days here?
I've only had one time where I got like stuck just a little bit, but just put it in 4-wheel and it was fine.
Oh, you tested your 4-wheel already.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when was that? Yesterday, today?
It was today.
That was today. So, second day of driving, this young man is already putting his vehicle into 4-wheel drive. So, we're teaching them right. Congratulations. And, we did, Mr. Johnny Orange over there, he's the one that got you the wheels and tires,
that's
or he
right,
found them for you. So, you've got some decent rubber on there because when it got hit, the wheels got cracked. But anything else you want to say? I mean, is there...
When are you going to lift it?
When I have the money.
When you want to lift it. I just saw one today, that exact same truck online. I should have saved the picture, but somebody had solid axled it and they had like 38s on it. Oh, that's
wow.
a pretty good looking truck.
Plan idea one.
Nice. Yeah.
Pretty good looking truck. But
All right.
you want to take off, do you? You're just like, I don't know what to do about it. I'm wheeling here. We'll bring you on in the future again when you do some work, okay?
All right.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to let Johnny Orange come back here. That was fun. I didn't expect that. But I'm really happy that I've been able to pass down to my kids the off-road world.
It's an addiction. And it's it happens.
Hey, man, you know what the trouble I would have had if I had a Z71 when I was... We still need to do the episode. We talked about it before. I'm still researching it, and strangely enough, I still have not found out when the Z71 RPO code came out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put that challenge out there again. If there's a listener that's listening to this, and you can conclusively tell us when the RPO code Z71, that was the regular production option, Z71, when that was first used. This isn't even a trivia thing. We genuinely want to know because we don't know.
Yeah.
We know that the Z71 sticker started getting slapped on the side of the trucks officially in 1994. However, apparently some dealerships had already started doing that as early as 1992. But some square body Chevys still had the RPO code Z71 in them.
Interesting.
So when did the Z71 officially start?
Yeah.
Did it officially start with the introduction of the G80 locking rear axle? Maybe that was it. I don't know.
Got me.
So if anyone out there, I've done research on the GM pages. I've done it on various forums. I've gone so far as looking at some of the tech center information they have out there. Nobody seems to know. What the hell's a Z71? That's what we're going to call that episode. What the hell's a Z71?
I like it.
Like,
I almost want to wait till our Play on Numbers episode 71, but I don't want to wait that long to find out.
well, I mean, it might take us that long to find out.
It's possible.
Maybe we'll never find out.
That's possible, too.
Okay, here's the deal.
If that's the case, we'll do the episode at some point.
Here's the deal. Just as research purposes, do us a favor. If you are a listener of Wheelin and you have, let's say, a square body Chevy, okay? Because we already know that, like we said, 92/94, they started officially calling them Z71s.
Yeah.
So even not a square body, if you've got a pre-92 Chevy or GMC truck and you've got the sticker in the glove box and you look down through all the, and RPO code is all those stickers in there. They're A through Z. And it says Z71. We want to challenge who has the earliest truck that they can find.
That.
So, if you've got an 87 that says Z71, if you got an 85, if you got an 89, whatever it is, take a picture. We want to know how far back this thing goes. We want to know because apparently even GM doesn't know. Or if they do, they're not publicizing.
Yeah.
So,
someone somewhere's got to know.
Someone's got to know when did the Z71 start, which it seems like an odd automotive mystery.
Yeah.
The Wikipedia page has almost nothing. Maybe we need to make it. I don't know.
It's possible. I've always wanted to add an entry.
I tried for the Mora, and it's apparently a lot more difficult than you would think.
It used to be really easy. I remember a friend of mine, this back when I used to work at Radio Shack in the day, he changed the description of we'll just say it, not so kind word to the name of another employee and saved it.
No.
And for all of about 5 seconds, the entire world definition of that word was this employee's name.
Somebody changed it back real quick?
In about 5 seconds.
Wow.
And that would have been around 2007. So the internet is flooded with know-it-alls now.
Okay.
So it probably would be a second or two today.
Yeah. Well, that's...
if it even made it.
I would love to Wheelin, we are on this task.
Yeah.
This is our history thing. It might not be finding a vintage Confederate submarine and raising it from the top, but we are...
I'm totally on board for that.
Well, yeah, exactly. Although it's been done.
Yeah.
We are going to research and find out. We're going to figure out and publish eventually the history of the Chevy Z71 because nobody else has done it.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. And if somebody does it before us, then congratulations. We'll
cover their work.
We'll cover your work, but
and give credit, of course.
We'll give credit. That information needs to be out there.
Yeah.
And it's just not out there. I mean, you've got information about just about every vehicle. Before we wrap this up, John, did you have any other 4x4 news, 4x4? I know we kind of breezed over the Lego thing, but that's a sad thing. Mr. Hudson's gone.
No, nothing major. New problem on Pegasus.
What's that?
Well, I got it started yesterday and took off like a bat out of hell. Thought it was going to run away on me.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've never heard the engine rev that high. I don't know what's going on. So I've had an issue before with it kind of revving up on me. Thought it was a sticky cable. So popped the hood and I'm popped the cable off the little shifter thing, and it's fine.
Okay.
So I start tracing linkage back, and for whatever reason, there's just like a lot of drag at the pump.
Oh.
So I hit everything with some WD-40. It didn't free up, so I took a different vehicle to my destination yesterday. Not going to be able to look at it till Sunday, a few days here, so we'll see. I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll see. We'll see.
It doesn't do it when it's warm, only when it's cold. So... I don't know. I'm not happy.
Okay, well,
not happy.
Hopefully, you get it figured out.
Yep.
That's
on the plus side. It's starting to warm up soon.
It is. It is.
It's like almost 50 in next week for like 3 days. Rains all 3 days, but whatever.
I don't have really any news personally. Museum news. A couple of our posts again. This Day in Off-Road History have gone quasi-viral, over 25,000 shares, views, things like that. Those are getting really popular. In fact, I didn't even have an opportunity. During the break, I was going to tell you and producer Andrew that the last post we did yesterday, or not the last post, but yesterday's post, which was about the Willys being given a restraining order by the federal government because they were trying to claim that they had invented the Jeep where Bantam had. That post is well over 28,000 people now. And, because of that post, just yesterday, we have 150 new likes to the museum page. So it's really that little series of things that we're doing is bringing traffic to the page. I have a couple ideas I want to talk to you about off air about what we can do with Wheelin to do kind of the same thing, bring up our social media on that. So... we'll see. But back to the numbers thing. This is episode 46. We had talked about what to do for 46.
Yep.
I would like to do a couple of quick honorable mentions, if that's cool with you.
That's fine. And I've got a shout out and just one other thing before we end it. So after you, sir.
Okay, well, 46, we've been playing on numbers a lot. we originally wanted to do this as a Dodge Power Wagon episode because 46 is the year the Dodge Power Wagon came out.
Yeah.
The gentleman that has loaned us the number 12 Power Wagon for the museum is quite the Power Wagon historian, and he is going to come on air potentially with another Power Wagon historian, but they weren't available tonight. So we're going to have to rain check that.
Yep.
46 is also the year the CJ2A came out. Technically 45 on that, but really 46 was the first civilian production year of vehicles after World War II.
Yeah.
So in the off-road world, we got the CJ2, we got the Power Wagon. I'm trying to think what else we would have gotten. Bunch of surplus World War II Jeeps available for as cheap as $50 a piece.
Got to have that kind of availability now.
How would you like that to be able to go down to your surplus place and buy a Jeep for like $50,
I'd blow a lot of money. Stupid amount.
You had, that going on. You had a lot of new automotive manufacturers coming up with new ideas.
Yeah.
It was a time of dreaming about the future. And so cars, trucks, off-road vehicles were just booming.
Yeah.
46 would have been the first year for civilians to really purchase a lot of Jeeps products, some Power Wagons. So, 46 was essentially not the first year of the 4x4. I mean, we know the 4x4 goes all the way back to 1901, but it was, the first year where they started to really become part of the American public.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Oh,
we'll do some stuff with that. You said you had some. Why don't you finish this out on your shout-outs,
Yeah,
John?
so quick note just to Tim down in Cleveland. Sorry, I didn't remember or catch your last name offhand, but I met up with him and had a sale this past week, and he was telling me about a Expedition XJ project he and his buddy are working on.
Nice.
Yep, so I've asked if you're hearing this, still keep us in mind when you get that done. Keep us updated. Definitely want to hear more about that, see some pictures, maybe talk to him about it.
Yeah,
and hear about, trials, tribulations, and journeys on that. Also, just want to say for everybody out there, if you're listening and haven't checked this out on YouTube yet, just type right in youtube.wheelinradio.com. That'll bring you right up to our YouTube page. Check us out, hit like, subscribe if you want to see more of it, and just, let us know what you think. If you want to see more of something, more of not something, just let us know.
Well, at least for the viewers on YouTube, I don't know if we'll be ready the next episode, but really soon the studio will be.
Yes.
We've got some surprises. Producer Andrew, I don't want to give it away right now, but Producer Andrew was sending you and I some really
test files,
some really cool things today. I don't think those were public. Hopefully, I think they were private.
No.
Nope, he's nodding his head. No, they were private. There's some really cool technological things that he's doing. The new studio,
it's coming together.
We had some things that kind of fell together at the right time, and we're getting a much nicer studio than we thought we would be getting.
Yeah.
So this is exciting news.
Yes.
The Wheelin studio is going to be, and
Nice.
I think that's what we need to call it. Instead of being the Thin Line Off-Road Studio, Thin Line Off-Road still exists, but it's kind of taken a back burner to what we're doing with Wheelin here.
Yeah.
I think it really needs to be the Wheelin studio.
Yeah, we'll flip a coin.
I've
got some other ideas.
You got some other ideas.
I do.
Got some other ideas.
We'll talk about that when we're done here.
I like it. So, John, you got anything else, man?
That's about it.
All right. Well, you got to remind me tonight. We got to do the show notes.
Yep.
And speaking of that, if we try to put as much information as we can in our show notes. We don't put a lot of different links to different things, but the show notes are a good part to read about our shows. So if you go to like podbean.com, download the podcasting app, or you go to the Apple podcasting services, or it's called Apple Podcasts now.
I don't know.
The show notes are on there. So you can read through them. There's usually a paragraph or two. You can figure out if it's a show that you want to listen to. Hopefully you listen to all of our shows, but So, and anyways, thank you for listening. And John,
well, like you said, couldn't have said it better. Thanks for listening, and have a good one, everybody.